time to pay attention. It's new yoga teacher tips time. And these are tips for 2020 and beyond. So I'm going to be sharing with you today the concept of mirroring. And not just in-person classes, but I have something really important to tell you about mirroring your classes on Zoom. So please, please, please pay attention. It's so important. So many people, so many yoga teachers were like, mind blown, because I didn't know that. Thank you so much for telling me. And so I've got to tell you today. And before we get into that and the concept of mirroring, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button so more yoga teachers can hear these tips, and the little bell because you'll be notified when I post new yoga teacher tips and classes. So I've been teaching for quite a while, and I have this thing in me that I'm very mathematical, very analytical. I like shapes, spatial awareness. It comes kind of easily. It's actually a skill that can be learned, but some people, it comes more naturally, and for me, I'm one of those people. So I'm a little lucky in that way, but the concept of mirroring the class is like this. If you are looking at someone straight on, and you tell them to lift their right hand, you would lift your left, because you want them to copy you. So you're essentially a mirror, your flipped version of them. It can get confusing if you say lift your right hand and you're looking at them, they're going to want to copy what you're doing. It's just something that like naturally in our brain we want to do the same thing as what we see, so we mirror. Now here's what you need to know about Zoom, and it's really important. So if you have spent any time on Zoom, either as a participant or maybe you've been teaching Zoom classes, here's the deal. There is a function inside of the video settings where you can check a box that says, mirror my video. Check. And if you check that, it'll flip your screen and it'll look like you don't have to mirror anymore. So you can say, lift your right hand, and it's actually your, like you would lift your right hand, or you lift your right hand and you assume that everybody will see you flipped. That's not the case. So the truth is, it's only you. You are going to see yourself flipped. Everyone else is going to see you as if they were sitting in front of you. Same with the recording. If you record just you, and it's even just you on speaker view, and you have checked the box that says mirror my video, it's going to record it the regular version, not the mirrored version. So the mirror is only for you, the viewer, in real time. That's it. Zoom has that option because it can be disorienting to see yourself like move to the right and your body moves to the left. It can just be kind of weird. So just know that it's only you seeing that. So you still have to mirror people as if they were looking at you straight on. Now, if this does not come naturally for you, most people it doesn't, that's okay. You can simply practice with like if you're let's just practice just in a few poses. So let's say you're seated and you're going to do some side bends. You can practice just doing side bends and twists at first, and that's it. So you say, okay, lift your right hand, lean to the left, and you'll continue to practice as you teach, and as time goes on, it will get easier and easier. Keep doing the opposite and doing the opposite from what you're saying. Another way around this is actually just to avoid rights and lefts in general. You just say something like, especially as you're demoing, lift your arm, lean to the side, and people are going to copy you in whatever way they want. So they'll be lifting the correct arm or whichever one they want to do, and make sure to keep it simple. So if you have a long series on one side and it gets kind of confusing with rights and lefts, knock it off. Just make it more simple. Take out all of the creative, fluffy, sparkle stuff, and just keep it really simple as you get used to it, okay? Another way you could do this, especially if you're in a room, an actual studio, is to use points of reference. So you can use the side wall, the props, the exit, towards the bathrooms, towards the entrance, towards the flower of life, towards something, so towards the sky, the reaching hand. And then if you're not in a studio, you don't have points of reference, you can say something like the front foot, the back foot, the arm that's reaching, the elbow that's on your thigh. So you would call your body parts, points of reference for you. So the elbow that's on the arm, lift it up and stack your shoulders over your hips. The arm that's reaching, take it a little bit more in front of you. Make sure your back foot is sealed to the ground, that kind of thing. So front, back, right, left. Get rid of the rights and lefts and just use other points of reference. Another thing you could do, and this is if it's really confusing to you and you really just want to say rights and lefts, is to verbally tell your students, hey, I'm gonna look the opposite of you, so please listen to what I'm saying so you can copy me in that way. So you will say to them, hey, I'm gonna look the opposite of you, listen to my verbal cues. If it helps to close your eyes or to ignore what I'm doing, that works. So listen to when I say right and left and use the appropriate body part. That still gets really confusing because people learn in different ways. Some people learn visually, so your visual learners need that mirror. They need to see you and copy you. Some people learn audiologically, so they're fine with just listening, maybe even closing their eyes, and they will hear what you say. And then there are people who learn kinesthetically, who need to feel it in order to actually get into it. So those of you who are those visual students of yours will get confused if you don't use your mirrored version, and those who are able to listen to your cues won't get as confused, but it'll look the opposite. So anyway, that's your little tips about mirroring today. It does get a little more confusing as we get into the studio space and as you start to walk around the room. Let's say you're in a lunge facing the students on the right side of the room, twisted to the other side. Where would you have to be? So I actually have a worksheet. I think it's inside my course Focused Flow right now, but I want to give it to you. It's a worksheet called Working the Room. And right now I would challenge you to be more focused on working the room from the front of the room, so not necessarily having to walk everywhere, but even teaching right now when we're supposed to be just stuck on our mats, you can still go a little bit to the right and oftentimes a little bit to the left. You kind of have that full front of the room, usually. So you're able to move over to the right side so you can get off of your mat and demonstrate a warrior two from one left side or right side of the room, so that people's view can see, or their gaze is more likely to see you. So that's called working the room. That's a way you can get off your mat without going around and making adjustments. It's just demonstrating where people's lines of vision are. So if you're in a warrior two, yeah, most people's eyes should be looking forward, but if they're not looking forward, they're usually towards the body. They usually you don't want people to have to look over the shoulder and crank the neck. So they would be usually towards the body. So if you're gonna demo, it's gonna be in this diagonal where people's torsos are faced, because that's the natural vision line, okay? So I have this worksheet. Go look at it. I'll actually pop it on here so you see what it looks like. I made it for my teacher trainees, but Focus Flow is my main course, my main beginner course for sequencing, helpful tips on cueing, and just some of these little exercises when it comes to mirroring, working the room, and helping you to be a more effective communicator in your classes, both verbally and non-verbally. And this is a non-verbal communication type thing. When you demonstrate, that's a visual non-verbal and can be very helpful for your students. Last tip on mirroring, if you are facing the side, like you're doing a lunge and you step a foot forward, try to use more of that front and back. So it's not going to be the exact same. You might first start with step your right foot forward, but then it's going to look different. You're going to look different in a warrior two. You might even attempt using your left leg instead of your right when you say right leg forward as a way to practice. But again, if someone looks different than you, keep it simple and default back to your front knee is bent, your back leg is this, your front arm is forward, your shoulders are over your hips, your back arm, you're looking over the front fingers. So you can even use that reference point of front and back of the mat, which can be helpful too. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, and the biggest tip I hope you took away from this is that on Zoom, mirroring your video does not mirror for everybody else. Great. Now go and download some of my free guides. I've got a sequencing guide. I've got a alignment pose guide and stick figures. I'll figure out how to get you the worksheet for working the room. And let me know in a comment down below. Do you mirror your classes? Is this something that you are good at, that you like doing, or do you struggle with mirroring your classes? I would love to know, and I would love to hear where you're at with this mirroring concept. And make sure to subscribe, like, bell notification, all that good stuff, so that more people can see these videos, especially yoga teachers. I am out here putting myself out here so that I can help new yoga teachers all over the world get out there with confidence. That's my main goal, and I hope that these videos are helping you get there. So that's why I always ask to subscribe and like and comment, because the more engagement, the more people can see this. I hope that every yoga teacher starts to flood the internet with videos, with training, with enlightenment, with all that wonderful stuff, so that we can have a more peaceful world. World peace, right? Okay, see you in the next video.